As we've seen, Drake Maye has come a long way. In just a few weeks, we break down how the Patriots are training their new franchise quarterback here on Patscast.
Drake Maye to make a star shine. Footwork drills and off-balance throws. Timing and rhythm, that's how it goes.
Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. As I've said, Drake Maye, if you watch the OTA clips from the last few weeks, the media has had access to 3 different OTA practices. And the Drake Maye that we saw in week 1 is very different already from the Drake Maye that we saw in the 3rd week of OTAs. Yes, there's been some stumbles, some issues in terms of how he's learning to become an NFL quarterback, but in terms of mechanics, in terms of how he's picking up the offense, Drake Maye already looks like he is on the path to becoming the Patriots starting quarterback, whether that is in week 1 and he's able to beat out Jacoby Brissett for the starting role, or if it takes a little bit of time for him to get there. But Jerod Mayo really has delegated all of the offensive duties to their new offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt. We know Van Pelt spent the last few seasons as the OC with the Cleveland Browns. We saw the disaster of a quarterback situation with all the injuries they had last year, where ultimately Joe Flacco was brought in to start under center and did a pretty good job in that West Coast style offense that Alex Van Pelt runs. And the Browns were a playoff team, and many thought they could make a playoff run. Obviously they did not, but nobody expected the Browns to be as good as they were, especially after they lost to Deshaun Watson. And Alex Van Pelt really deserves most of the credit for how that worked out. And Van Pelt's approach really dates back to the San Francisco 49ers of the 1980s and how they taught guys like Joe Montana and Steve Young, who both turned out to be pretty damn good NFL quarterbacks. They're Hall of Famers, won many Super Bowls, and we all know they learned from the famous Bill Walsh, who basically invented the West Coast style offense and worked alongside offensive guru Paul Hackett, who was the QB coach with San Francisco, along with coaching the tight ends and the receivers, and spent a lot of time with a number of NFL organizations, was a college head coach for many years. And Alex Van Pelt really is stressing this and going back to some of these, I guess, could be considered old school methods of training quarterbacks. He said at OTAs the other day, quote, "It's a lot of footwork training, a lot of foot speed, a lot of pocket movement, off-balance throws, things that are real football." It goes all the way back for me to Paul Hackett, who coach Mike McCarthy, who was with the Green Bay Packers, now with the Dallas Cowboys, was a graduate assistant when Paul was doing the quarterback training. So it really goes back to the origin of the West Coast with Bill Walsh and Hackett as far as the training of the quarterback. The drills that we do out here are the same drills I did in 1989, and they stand the test of time, in our opinion, of how you train a quarterback. Of course, Van Pelt is referring here to his time at the University of Pittsburgh, where he trained under Paul Hackett. Paul Hackett took the University of Pittsburgh job. He was an OC very briefly before being the head coach for 4 years and coaching Van Pelt, who was the quarterback of that team, after spending time with Bill Walsh in San Francisco. And that's really where Alex Van Pelt learned all of the West Coast offense. And that has been his approach as a coach in the NFL. And Van Pelt really stresses timing and rhythm, which are very important when it comes to running a West Coast offense. And look, he has a challenging task ahead of him, right? Like, not only is he in charge of developing the future franchise quarterback, the 3rd overall pick, Drake Maye of the New England Patriots, along with Joe Milton, a guy who they want to be a backup with similar traits to Drake Maye. He has to give the entire offense a facelift. He has to train that, kind of risky offensive line at this situation. Get the timing working with some of these new receivers that they drafted with the tight ends. And we saw Matt Patricia try to do it a few years ago. Didn't have the experience that Alex Van Pelt has in terms of running a West Coast style offense. Didn't really work with Patricia and Mac Jones. They kind of went back to the Josh McDaniels way of doing things. And that's how the Patriots were able, at least in Mac Jones' second year, to at least be in the playoff race heading into his second year with Mac Jones. But look, we all know what Drake Maye's issues were as a quarterback in college. They really come down to his mechanics, his footwork, his timing, and that's what they are spending most of their time working with Drake Maye to improve on. And look, early in OTAs, we saw the clips and people were thrown aback a little bit watching Drake Maye because he was kind of practicing his footwork, his mechanics in slow motion. It often looked robotic at times, but it doesn't really look that robotic anymore, especially when you watch some of the footwork drills that he's doing where he's moving around the pads and releasing the ball into the net based on a target that they throw out. Drake Maye looks a lot better than he did in week 1 of OTAs, and they're doing a lot there. And look, like I said, Drake Maye has a lot to improve on still. And even if his footwork has improved already, it's far from being an NFL starting quarterback. But maybe he could win the job, right, by week 1. Or maybe he can take over in week 4, week 5, or midway through the season and beat out Jacoby Brissett. But that is really what he's learning. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett worked with Alex Van Pelt with the Cleveland Browns, had probably his best season playing under Alex Van Pelt. And that is an opportunity really for Drake Maye to learn from a guy like Brissett. And we saw at OTAs this past week. Drake Maye moved up to number 2 on the depth chart after Bailey Zappi kind of held the backup role, taking second team reps at OTAs. Well, now that guy is Drake Maye. So we are starting to see a real QB competition. I don't know what that means for Bailey Zappi down the road. I'm not sure I would expect him to be on the team. If they think Drake Maye is ready at least to be a backup, wouldn't expect Bailey Zappi to even be on that roster when the preseason hits and we end up with a QB depth chart. Jacoby Brissett at number 1, Drake Maye at number 2, and of course Joe Milton at number 3. But Drake Maye working to understand some of the terminology and the formations of an NFL offense, and Maye feels he's grasped New England's terminology and formations, and it's allowed him to focus on commanding the huddle and calling plays efficiently, which he's gotten a lot better at doing. Learning a lot from veterans, of course, like Jacoby Brissett, like Bailey Zappi, and the offensive linemen, David Andrews, Chuks Okorafor, who will probably be their starting left tackle, learning from him as well and soaking up as much knowledge as he possibly can. And Drake Maye's going against one of the best defenses in the NFL in all of these practices, and we know the Patriots are known for their disguises and blitzes, and that's really helping Maye to improve, especially in red zone scenarios. Now, Maye probably didn't look so great in the red zone at the most recent OTA practice that we were able to see highlights in through a number of interceptions. Things get a lot tighter in the red zone, and the Patriots defense really feasted on it. They didn't have a lot of their starting offensive linemen, which created a lot of pressure for Drake Maye, something he was very familiar with at the University of North Carolina. But that's how you improve. That's how you become an NFL quarterback. Obviously doing film reviews, focusing on continuous improvement. But we all know he has to be patient. The coaching staff, including Van Pelt, have certainly stressed patience, gradual progression, ensuring Maye is ready before moving him up on the depth chart to that number 1 overall spot. And look, there's been setbacks, as I said. Throwing interceptions during practice, particularly in the red zone. Maye is focused on improving on a daily basis, which we've seen so far, at least in terms of his mechanics. But the Patriots are taking an interesting approach, which we didn't ever see under Bill Belichick. I'm not even sure Tom Brady embraced this approach, even after he left New England for Tampa Bay. They are using virtual reality. Yet, no, he's not going and playing Madden. Maybe that helps in terms of reading defensive coverages, but they are maximizing Drake Maye's reps, who can get a lot more reps, get a look at what NFL defenses are like, playing virtual reality where he's not getting hit, he's not having a ton of setbacks on the practice field, and can gain some additional experience that way, allowing him to diagnose defenses pre and post snap and work on the mental aspects of his game. And Patriots are providing some VR spaces at Gillette Stadium where Maye can get real looks at defenses, go through play calls with coaches, and enhance his understanding and reaction time. And this really came from what happened with Jaden Daniels. We all know he's with the Washington Commanders now, was drafted just ahead of Drake Maye at 2nd overall. But that's how Jaden Daniels made that leap at LSU to ultimately become a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. Jaden Daniels logged over 250 additional snaps per week using VR, which significantly improved his game vision and his decision making. And like Daniels, Maye can use VR to improve his progressions, reduce stare down times, with the potential to enhance his field vision by, at least what I've read, somewhere up to 75 to 80%. And if Drake Maye can read NFL defenses better, 80% better than he did when he entered the league, well, he's going to be a pretty damn good quarterback and could actually become a star in this league. And that's something that VR is allowing quarterbacks to do. Patriots are committed to supporting Maye with every possible resources, including advanced technologies like VR to help him develop into a future franchise quarterback. And they're continuously seeking the latest technology to aid in player development, emphasizing their commitment to innovation and player support. And we all know virtual reality is going to get better. AI is going to get better. All of these technologies that NFL teams are slowly starting to embrace, something that Bill Belichick, who is about as old school as they come in terms of being an NFL head coach, nothing that he embraced. But that's something Jerod Mayo, Alex Van Pelt are really using to work with Drake Maye to get him ready when he's not able to be on the practice field and learn that way. And VR is allowing Maye to essentially play the game before the game, allows for extensive mental reps, which is crucial for his development given the competition for practice reps competing with Jacoby Brissett, Bailey Zappi, and Joe Milton. But some of this VR technology really is incredible. Maye is able to prepare for various opponents in their stadiums, look at different defensive coverages, pressure schemes, and ensuring that he is mentally ready for any scenario that's thrown his way. But that's really what the Patriots are working on, and we all know Drake Maye has the traits. There's not a throw that he cannot make, even when he's off of 1 foot, throwing on the run, when he's off balance, when he's facing defensive pressures. There's nothing that we haven't seen him at least do at the college level. So it really just comes down to, in addition to learning NFL offensive schemes, reading defenses, getting in and out of the huddle pre-snap, calling audibles, all that stuff NFL quarterbacks have to do. Drake Maye, look, he's a hardworking guy. He's a smart player. I think he's going to pick up on that stuff pretty quickly, and so far he really has. Really, if you can just fix his footwork, his timing, and his mechanics, that's all it takes. That's all it takes for him to become an NFL starting quarterback and a guy who could be considered a top 5, top 10 a few years down the road. And that's ultimately why Drake Maye was considered one of the best quarterbacks in this draft. And I know we all said, heading into the draft, Drake Maye is probably the guy with the lowest floor, the highest ceiling, but the more that I see of him, I don't think his floor is really that low, especially because he is so athletic, and he has the size where he's able to not be taken down easily. He's able to extend plays. He's able to scramble if needed. He's able to get 10 to 15 yards on the ground in ways that Mac Jones certainly couldn't, and Tom Brady, not the most athletic quarterback in the world, never was able to do. So, if you can get Drake Maye's footwork at least at the level where you can say, all right, he can play at least as our backup, and we're pretty confident heading into the season, well, the sky is the limit for him. So excited to see what he does with this virtual reality training with Alex Van Pelt, who really knows what he's doing in terms of implementing a West Coast style offense. Like I said, a long way for him to go, but pretty exciting seeing the Patriots embrace some of this new school technology, embracing these new school West Coast offenses, which are not that new, right? But we've seen certain tweaks to them, especially with what the Niners do with Deebo Samuel. We're going to see a lot of that with guys like Jaheim Bell, with Jalen Polk, with Javon Baker. Going to be fun. And we know minicamp is coming up for the Patriots. Training camp just around the corner. This is where it starts to get intense. And minicamp really is a precursor to training camp. It is training camp light. And I think that's really going to tell us just how far Drake Maye has developed. Let me know in the comments below. Are you impressed? Are you happy with what the Patriots are doing with Alex Van Pelt? Do you think Jerod Mayo is doing a good job basically delegating all of the offense to Alex Van Pelt with his minimal experience coaching offense? It really has no experience coaching offense in the NFL. I'm curious to hear from you. Let me know in the comments below. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, and like this video, or subscribe if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And we'll be back next week with more New England Patriots coverage.
In the land of legends with a game so fine. ABP's got a method tracing back in time, from the San Fran days of Walsh and Hackett's prime, teaching Drake Maye to make his star shine. Footwork drills and off-balance throws, timing and rhythm, that's how it goes. From Carolina roots to the Patriots show, Maye is climbing up, stealing the limelight glow. Pats cast, hear it loud and clear. Drake Maye's rising, there's nothing to fear. Pats cast, feel the rhythm and rhyme, building a legend one play at a time. From the college days where footwork was rough, timing off beat, practice was tough. Now with the Patriots, he's learning enough, moving up the depth chart, getting strong and buff. Learning formations, commanding the huddle, from Brissett and Zach, he's solving the puzzle. Facing tough defenses, he's avoiding the muddle. Red zone perfection, avoiding the struggle. Pats cast, hear it loud and clear. Drake Maye's rising, there's nothing to fear. Pats cast, feel the rhythm and rhyme, building a legend one play at a time. With virtual reality, taking more snaps, diagnosing defenses, no time to lapse. Inspired by Brady, he's closing the gaps. Field vision sharp like a thunderclap, the orange Gillette where the future is bright. Playing the game before the actual fight, mentally prepared for the darkest night. Drake Maye's ready, his star's taking flight. Pats cast, hear it loud and clear. Drake Maye's rising, there's nothing to fear. Pats cast, feel the rhythm and rhyme, building a legend one play at a time. Patience and progress, learning every day. Maye's on the rise in a Patriots way, handling setbacks come what may. Future of the franchise, Drake Maye. Pats cast, hear it loud and clear. This is the anthem, the future is near. Pats cast, let's all cheer.